All right, good morning. Today is Tuesday, October 25th. Today's reading will be Luke chapter 16 through 18. When we get to Luke chapter 16, it starts with a parable that I have tried to understand for years, still not really grasping exactly what Jesus is teaching. I read a couple commentaries on this. I wonder if, verse 8 is just teaching us that, people of the world are better at running business than Christians are, because Christians might tend to throw in some other variables. I just don't know. But then when you get to verse 10, then it's pretty easy what's being taught, and I'm not sure if those two verses then are just summing up what is being taught in the parable of the unjust steward. It could just be simply that it's as simple as somebody who's not faithful in the beginning isn't going to be faithful in the end. So, that could just be the basic teaching, and I've always read too far into it. Maybe. Jesus makes the teaching on divorce clear here. Again, it seems like there can be questions as you read all throughout Scripture, but it seems pretty cut and dry when he talks about it. And then we have the story of the rich man Lazarus. Notice I said story and not parable. Jesus uses a name, Lazarus, and speaks as if this happened. Now, Abraham's pointing out the irony in that he received good things and he's not now. It's not because you receive good things in life that you don't go to heaven. It's just pointing out the irony. But you see there when he says they have Moses and the prophets, that's the Old Testament, the law and the prophets. And if somebody won't listen to those, they're not going to listen to Christ coming back either. And he did come back, and we know that, and people still won't listen. Jesus talks about offending little ones again, talks about faith. Then we get the story of the 10 lepers. One comes back to say thank you. It's interesting. Just think about human nature when it comes to salvation. Somebody gets saved. I've heard people occasionally say, well, if you've seen this number of people saved, then where are they? Why aren't they in your church? Jesus himself healed and only saw one return. And that's usually from people who don't go regularly witnessing at all. And I think people would find if they would go witness to people, that more people listen than you think won't. Now notice here in 17, when it talks about the days of Noah and the days of Sodom and Gomorrah, it doesn't mean that the world's going to be a horrible place and then that's when Jesus comes back. I think you can find that teaching in Scripture. However, what is being taught here is Jesus' return. People will just be going about living their lives. That's what it teaches. Again, Jesus is teaching about prayer in chapter 18. Remember the Pharisee and the publican? Remember what? The key to everything we want is humility. It's taught all throughout Scripture. I want you to see here towards the end of chapter 18, the blind man that called out for Jesus knew that he was the son of David. Everybody knew this. They knew that Joseph was of the offspring of David. They knew that Jesus was, and by extrapolation, then we learn that they knew that if Israel was a sovereign country, this Jesus is supposed to be the king. So when they ask him, hey, are you the king of the Jews? This blind guy on the side of the road knew it. And so then when it's on the cross and they ask for it to be taken off, conscience issue. All right. Hope you have a great day. We'll catch you tomorrow.